If you're struggling to get clients through content, it's because short form and long form content are dead. In this video, you'll discover why neither will grow your business and exactly how mid-form content is a new format a handful of experts are using to grow their reach and sales without burning out on content creation that doesn't feel like them. Most business owners are sold on the idea that short form content is the fastest way to grow their reach and their online business. So then why do most end up spending years pouring energy into short only to be left with vanity metrics that doesn't turn into consistent leads or sales for their business? Well, it's because short form content is kind of like speed dating. Let me explain. You're in a room with 30 other people. You've got 2 minutes max to make the best impression before you're swapped out for the next person. And it's not just 2 minutes with one person. You rotate through a whole room. It's pretty hard to be remembered in an environment like that. Now, scale that up to social media, where someone might be your 100th scroll. By the time they hit your content, they might watch the clip, think it's actually pretty cool, maybe even like it, and then within a couple of seconds, you're long forgotten as they move on to their next clip. So you've got 30 seconds to convince a doom scroller, who doesn't know how to even stop scrolling to pay attention to you and think this person could help me solve my painful problem. It's a pretty near enough impossible ask. Now, this has just been through the viewer's perspective, but what about you as a business owner creating the content? If you're anything like my clients, then you likely hate the fact you're being forced to compress everything you know into short, controversial takes to fight for attention on these platforms. And when you don't play the game, which feels completely misaligned to who you are, you're then penalized by the algorithm limiting your reach, meaning your business can't grow. So while short form content has a place for some creators, for experts and consultants, it's broken by design because the format doesn't give you enough time to build trust, and trust is literally the only thing that turns a stranger into a paying client. So if short form content is like speed dating that goes nowhere, you like to think the answer is to go the other way. Long form content, more depth, more time to actually show who you are and build that trust. Makes sense, right? Except long form content has its own problem that leads tons of business owners to invest even more time to not grow their business and to have an even smaller reach. Long form content, it really does feel like the right fix, but again, more times than not, people end up wasting time. And after speaking to thousands of business owners who've created long form content, I can tell you that most end up wasting years making great content that stays invisible, and they're left with a handful of cheerleaders who are more likely to bench press 500 pounds than invest a single dollar into their business. The reason why it's so hard for business owners to gain traction with long form content is because you're asking a total stranger to commit 60 minutes of their time with you, which is kind of like being back on the dating scene and inviting a total stranger to spend a week away with you in the Bahamas. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful place, a lovely gesture, but it's a pretty wild ask that feels way too risky given you're a total stranger and they have no idea what to expect. So they'll end up saying no. And that's the same challenge that business owners face when trying to grow their business through long form content. Even when the content is great, it just feels too risky for a total stranger to invest that time with you when they could spend that time with a familiar face they already like, know, and trust. So while recognized authorities can get away with longer form content, but when you don't have a massive following already, it's impossible to gain traction, which leads most people to quit because it's hard to stay committed to something that isn't driving the results you want. So you've got short form content that doesn't give you enough time to build real trust, and long form content on the other end, which is you asking for a massive commitment that a total stranger isn't willing to make, which leaves most experts and consultants stuck either grinding on content creation, which they hate, or quitting altogether. But there's a new style of content known as mid-form content, which a handful of business owners have clocked onto and are using to blow up their business. So if short form content is 60 seconds and long form is 60 minutes, mid form content is 10 to 15 minutes, which seems to be the sweet spot for business owners who want to grow their reach and their business. Mid form content is more like asking someone out on a coffee date. Low enough commitment that a total stranger can actually say yes, and long enough that by the end of it, they've got a genuine feel for what the other person is like. And if it goes well, they'll stay a bit longer. And if it doesn't, again, it doesn't feel like they've risked much at all. They can just walk away. And that's exactly why mid-form content is that sweet spot. It's short enough that someone who's never heard of you before will actually engage with your content, but it's long enough that by the end of it, they'll know whether they trust you and want to learn more from you. And finally, it's actually way easier for you to produce every single week without it taking over your entire life. Mid-form content is the new format that fits how experts and consultants actually work. And over the last 4 years, we've helped 300 plus business owners build their business in this way by sharing the expertise through 15-minute podcasts. They didn't need social media. They didn't require, long hour-long interviews, just 50 minutes of their time each week. And this is exactly how my clients, Kyle and John, 10x their audience in a matter of months and blew up their business as well, adding $1 million to their business pipeline. And they did this without having massive followings on social media. So no, you don't need to play the social media short form game that we both know isn't aligned to you. We both know you bloody hate it. And you don't have to become the Joe Rogan of your niche, spending hours on a long form podcast that makes you look credible, but no one listens to. There's a middle ground, and that's mid-form content. Now, the thing is, not every business owner generates sales for their business with mid-form content. And it's because they're missing the foundational pieces that makes that format of content actually work. So watch this video next, where me and my business partner, Tig, show you how to launch a 15-minute podcast that grows your business. And it'll work for you even if you have 0 followers online.